Hello YouTube! My name is Scott and I just got around to watching Cobra Kai. Season 2, Episode 5 is called All In, and, first off, they do go all in. Between the character development, the flashbacks, the montages, the fights. This one is so good, you guys. Let's see, where to begin? Okay, so ostensibly Johnny's the main character, but he doesn't have a lot to do in this one. It starts off with him, doing a demonstration with Kreese about, what to do in a certain situation when you're kind of cornered. It doesn't look like you have any way out. The lesson is to just push forward and go all in. And that's a lesson that his students take to heart, but we'll get to that in a minute. So, Kreese compliments him on his teaching, but reminds him, your son is, training with your worst enemy. You should do something about that and go all in. So he pulls up at the Russo Auto and goes and bullies Anush, one of Daniel's workers, to find out where Robbie is. Because he wasn't at his apartment. There's an eviction notice. And that's when he finds out that Robbie's living with Daniel. Cut to him showing up back at his own apartment complex, drunk. Driving drunk too, so that's great. But he runs into Miguel's mom, who tells him, after he, again, whitewashes his whole high school experience with Daniel to make himself look better. Is whitewashing the right term? I don't care. Miguel's mom tells him, for this rivalry to end, one of them has to rise above it and be the bigger man. And when it gets to the end, that is what Johnny does, but I'll get back to that. Because most of this is focused on the kids. First up would be Dimitri, who ended the last episode wanting to join Miyagi-Do, but he doesn't actually want to do anything. Like, he understands that, all this stuff is about building muscle memory. He's the subject of the montage, except it's all Daniel trying to teach him stuff and him not really being good at it. But Daniel doesn't kick him out as a student, so, there's that. And there's this one point, Robbie and Sam are still training, doing the whole balance thing. But later on, they're at the mall. Dimitri realizes that, there's a new comic book out that he was looking for. And that's when he runs afoul of Hawk, Eli. A lot of the stuff in this concerned Hawk. The very beginning was the thing that happened, like his mom calling the school before there was that little talk last season in the cafeteria about cyberbullying. The one where Miguel, revealed that he knew karate and beat up Kyler and his gang. Well, that focused on Eli feeling hopeless. And he goes and, cries on his bed and goes from a shot of him laying on his stomach on his bed to him lying on his stomach in the tattoo parlor, apparently getting a little more work done on his Hawk tattoo. And, he's stronger, he's more confident, we get it, it's great. He's apparently dating Moon. He got a tattoo of her name on his chest inside a crescent moon, and anyone who has done that, or who knows, could tell you that's a bad idea. But he won't find out about that until later. Anyway, when Cobra Kai is hanging out at Applebee's, and... actually, quick side note here on that. This chick Tori is clearly into Miguel. She's trying to get... She stopped him from sending Sam this thing that he made about, wanting to get back together with her. And they apparently spend a long time there because it's daytime when they leave and like 10:30 at night when they're there. Because she's got him spinning on a merry-go-round until he feels dizzy and then lying on the ground watching a plane fly overhead, actually pretty low. Miguel said it was awesome. It's, I guess. But apparently it goes, 10:36 on the dot every night. And, of course, they kiss. Because apparently this chick just needs to get whatever she wants. But anyway, back to the whole Applebee's thing. What happened was, Hawk saw Dimitri's negative Yelp review of Cobra Kai and went to confront him at the comic book store. Now, there's this really cool shot where Dimitri's standing in front of a rack of comic books, and Hawk is coming along behind it on the other side, and you can only see his mohawk. So, kind of looks like a shark fin. I thought that was cool. But apparently, even though, he's so good at karate, he can't confront Eli alone. He has to do it with 4 of his friends. I just said Eli. He can't confront Dimitri alone. He has to do it with 4 of his friends. Dimitri runs, naturally. He goes back to the food court where he winds up cornered, and thank goodness Sam and Robbie showed back up, because it turns into a 5-on-2 brawl. And Sam and Robbie, who are working so well together because of all that time they spent, learning balance, they handle him. And there's some interesting shots of overhead of watching them, take on Cobra Kai, cut with shots of them practicing on, I'm going to say the balance table, because that's kind of what it was. And that later leads to, Daniel being glad that they're all right because, he didn't want them to get in a fight, but at least they defended themselves and they protected Dimitri. And Daniel goes to talk to Dimitri, and, Dimitri, he's still really down on himself. He realizes, he can't do all this stuff. And he makes a Game of Thrones reference, which I thought was awesome. He refers to Robbie and Sam as Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen, and that he's Sam Tarly. And Daniel, he comes right back with it. Well, Sam Tarly killed a White Walker. And that's kind of how they bond at first over, Game of Thrones. And then, Daniel starts teaching Dimitri the moves again, through the muscle memory, but slowly. Back at Cobra Kai, Hawk was still kind of smarting after the fight, and in the end, Moon broke up with him. Again, could have seen that coming. You don't tattoo other people's names on you. Not people you're in relationships with. It doesn't work. She liked the mohawk, she liked the muscles, but she didn't want to date a bully. And Hawk got angry and went to train, or to just beat something up, and Kreese came along, because, it's exactly what we needed at this point, is Kreese's guidance. Hawk says they lost the fight, and Kreese says, no, you didn't lose the fight. The fight's not over until you say it is. So Hawk gets a little gang together and goes and trashes Miyagi-Do karate. Now, for one thing, I don't know why there's no security on this place. He's got a fleet of classic cars in the driveway. And, at the very least, it's private property. But Hawk doesn't just go crazy with, spray paint and toilet paper and knocking stuff over. He stole Mr. Miyagi's Medal of Honor. What the heck is that? And even though somehow nobody noticed it until the very end, spray painted Cobra Kai Never Dies on the side of Daniel's yellow classic car. At this point, Daniel is almost pissed enough to go and start the fight. He goes to Cobra Kai and confronts Johnny because he thinks, he's the one that put him up to it. Of course, Johnny doesn't know anything. And, Daniel talks about him being a bad sensei and, how he's supposed to teach students and elevate them. He might have a point, because if Johnny was teaching his kids real honor, Hawk would have stepped up and admitted everything. But he didn't. And it so looked like the fight was going to happen finally. But it didn't. And do you know why? Daniel's standing there saying, I'm not going to strike first, and cut to either Kreese or Johnny, I forget whom, standing in front of the Cobra Kai label that says strike first. But Johnny took Miguel's mom's lesson to heart and decided to be the bigger man, to get a good amount of character development for him in this one. So Daniel's upset and he storms off, and it looks like at least half of Cobra Kai, half of the students whose names we don't know because they're not main characters, they decide to leave, including one of the kids that was hanging out with Hawk, because apparently he never liked it there anyway, probably from being belittled by Hawk all the time. And that's where it ends, and this episode was awesome, and this is the mid-season, so it's just going to keep ramping up. I would bet anything there's going to be Miyagi-Do versus Cobra Kai fights all over town. It's going to be a lawless karate town. But anyway, that's what I think, and what happened. But what do you guys think? Leave a comment down below, like the video, share it around, subscribe if you're so inclined. Hit that bell that's down there for notifications when I put up another one. And until next time, I have been Scott, and this has been Just Got Around to Watching, an offshoot of opinions no one cares about. Everyone has opinions. This one was mine.